I'm Dr. Jen with White Wave Bodywork, and today we're going to be doing a prenatal yoga series. I'm currently in my third trimester. I have 2 weeks to go, and I like to spend most of my time in my yoga practice in hands and knees and in seated positions at this point. So I'm going to take you through a series of movements that's going to try and loosen up the things that become commonly tight during pregnancy, like the back body and the inner thighs, and kind of prep us for labor and delivery. So that's the goal for this video today. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. So come to a comfortable seated position. Sometimes people have different flexibility ranges in their hips. So if this seated position is comfortable for you, just an easy cross-legged position where one foot is in front of the other, you can take your inner thighs and spiral them in. I lift up the fleshy parts on the back and roll them in so that you're seated really grounded on your sits bones. If this doesn't feel comfortable to you, or if you see that your knees are higher than your hips, what I want you to do is take a pillow and place it underneath your bottom. And it could be 2 pillows if you need 2 pillows. Whatever it takes to get your butt up a little higher so that your knees can come down lower than the hips. This always feels a little more comfortable to me when I have a little bit of a lift. The other thing that you want to be aware of is, can you get a little dip in your lower back when you're seated like this? Ideally, we want that little robin's egg shaped dip in the low back. I'll turn to the side so you can kind of see that. So when you're seated up on a pillow, it's much easier to not be here like this, but to be like this in this position. So you want to be high enough that you can get this robin's egg shape and that your knees are at or lower than the height of your hips. Okay. So now that you've found that position for yourself, what I want you to do is just try to close your eyes and breathe for a little while. We're going to do deep breathing exercises that are going to try and expand the back body, the back ribs, the back waist, because that's where all this tension really develops. We get really expansive and stretched out in the front, and we get really tight in the back. So as we breathe, what I want you to try to do is 3-dimensional expansion with a focus on the back body. All right, so I'm going to place my hands on my knees, palms facing up, just open my hands to the sky, just available and ready to receive all the positive energy that I can. And as I inhale, I'm going to inhale and try to expand the back body. And as I exhale, I'm going to try to pull my belly button up and in. So we're expanding and stretching out the back body on an inhale. And pulling the pelvic floor up and in like a little kegel, and the belly button up and in. Contracting the front that gets all stretched out. Inhale, expand the back ribs, the back waist. Exhale, pull the belly button up and in, pelvic floor up and in. And you can almost try to feel that pelvic floor leave the pillow underneath you or leave the ground underneath you. As you inhale, the pelvic floor releases and should fill that space into the ground. And as you exhale, the pelvic floor lifts up and in, belly button lifts up and in. So a couple more breaths to coordinate that effort. And then what I want you to do is on an inhale, with all the air that you're taking in, I want you to think expand. And on an exhale, with all the air that you're taking out of your body, I want you to think release. Expand to all the fullest amount that your body can handle. And then exhale, release. I think those are really important concepts to have during the prep for labor and delivery, as my body can expand and my body can release. Expanding to my fullest, really stretching out the back ribs and the back waist, and then exhale, the pelvic floor pulls up and in, the belly button pulls up and in. I release all that energy, all that air. All right, now that our breath is warmed up, what I want you to try to do is reach up to the sky to stretch the side body. So we're going to reach our hands up to the sky, and I'm going to interlace my fingers and press them up towards the sky. So I flipped my hands up, palms up, and I'm going to press them up towards the sky. Take a big deep inhale here, same breath pattern. Really trying to fill up the back body. It's really easy to just kind of expand to the front and stretch there, but that back body gets so tight and the sides get so tight too. So inhale and reach and press. Inhaling into the side ribs and the back waist, and then exhale, let's fold off to the side. Inhale back up to center. Exhale off to the other side. While I do this, I really try to stay up tall. A lot of times we have a tendency to want to collapse on this side or let our arms loose, but I'm trying to keep the feeling of extension all the way up towards the ceiling as I bend over. Almost like I'm bending over like a round circle, some kind of wheel. And I have to remind myself to breathe into the back body and not just arch it. And that feels really good to this side when I go on to this, reaching over here. I'm really trying to stretch out those abdominal muscles that wrap all the way around, like the little corset for our belly that are getting so tight in the back and stretched out in the front. So now I'm going to take one hand to the side. I'll have you reach over so you can have a little support here. Reach over as far as you can, still trying to keep shoulders and rib cage in a line together, not really reaching forward yet. Inhale to come up. Exhale, place one hand down. Reach over to the other side. Just really trying to elongate here. Alright, now a little twist. I know there's a lot of information out there that says you shouldn't twist during pregnancy, but if we don't twist for 9 months, then we lose the ability to twist and we're real stuck at the end. So only go so far as you feel comfortable going. Don't go too far. Just use your head and turn and look back as far as you feel like you can to feel comfortable. And then inhale to come back to center. I like to think about all the twisting and the side bending as like wringing out a wet towel. So every time I come back to center, I'm inhaling, filling up the wet towel. Every time I twist or bend, I exhale to wring out the wet towel. Inhale to come back to center and exhale to twist. One more time. All right, let's take one leg out to the side. So what I'm going to do is try to keep my knee and my toe pointed straight up toward the ceiling. I like to pull my big toe back toward me. The big toe ball mount comes back toward me, and the pinky toe side presses out. So that really activates the muscles in the front of my shin, and it really feels like a big stretch on my calf right now. So I'm going to inhale, reach up. Exhale, turn my body, a little twist, and then reach down for my leg. This feels like as far as I can go right now if I remain upright. So I'm going to stay here and breathe for a little while. So that, keeping my body upright, really gives a big pull to the back of my leg. Now I'm going to bend and round forward and try to really stretch out that side body and back body that gets so tight. So I'm going to round forward and think about my nose coming toward my knee. The more I turn my body up toward the ceiling, the more I feel it here. The more I turn my body down towards the floor and really try to think about my sternum coming toward my knee and my rib cage kind of rotating towards that side, the more I feel it in the back. And that's kind of what I'm trying to achieve right now for myself, because that's where I feel the tension. I'm going to inhale deeply and exhale deeply here. Same engagements as we did at the beginning. Inhale into the back ribs and the back waist. Really think about expanding. And then exhale, pelvic floor up and in, belly button up and in. Inhale, release the pelvic floor. Exhale, pull it up and in. Inhale to come back up, and we're going to switch legs. The pelvic floor activity, especially at this point, is very gentle. It's never a clenching feeling. That Kegel is never clenched. It's just a really gentle lift and release. You just want to make sure you can kind of feel a little lift and release there. So knee up to the ceiling, toes up to the ceiling. We're just going to get used to that feeling, because even that is a big stretch for me right now. And I like being up on this pillow because that gives me a little bit better ability to really extend my leg, because when the bottom is all the way toward the floor, that angle is a little bit more increased, so it's a little bit too intense for me at this point. I'm going to rotate my body toward that leg. All the while just trying to breathe into the back waist. Exhale, pulling up and in. I'm going to bend forward and try to stay tall. Get a little bit more of a stretch on the back of the calf, the back of the thigh. Couple deep breaths there. And now I'm going to round forward. We're going to try to tuck the chin toward the chest gently, round the back toward the leg, nose toward your knee, going in that direction, not forcing anything. Just rounding to the point where you feel a stretch and thinking about your sternum coming toward your knee in the direction of your knee to kind of stretch out the back body. Breathe into the back waist. Breathe into the back ribs. Exhale. Pelvic floor gently comes up and in. Belly button up and in.
It may not be a lot of action. It's just very gentle. There's not a whole lot of movement in these positions, especially at this point in pregnancy. It's just a gentle awareness and a little bit of movement in that direction. So inhale, come back up. Now we're going to take both legs out to the side. Really trying to stretch these inner thighs with this one. I had to take a little break because my right hip was cramping, and if you're in your third trimester of pregnancy, you may be familiar with muscle cramps. A good solution is magnesium. I've been taking my magnesium, but it seems to still be cramping on me. That's just part of it, guys. Hydration and magnesium supplementation works for me most of the time. Actually, I have to take it. All right, so both legs out to the side, toes pulled up towards the ceiling, knees pressing gently down toward the floor. We're going to inhale up, exhale, twist, inhale up, exhale, twist, a little farther. I'm using my hands to try to help me just a little bit. Keep my toes flexed up towards the ceiling, and then I'm going to round forward down toward my knee. I find it's a little bit of a different stretch when I have both legs out to the side. Maybe you can feel that too. Inhale, think expand to my fullest. Exhale, I release. Inhale back up to center. Exhale, twist to the other side. Stay tall. Inhale fully. Exhale, twist a little farther. Inhale up tall one more time. Exhale, fold forward. Even just round the back forward. Inhale and expand the back waist here. I can expand to my fullest, and then exhale. Belly button pulls up and in. With a little hug for baby. Inhale up. And I'm going to reach down forward and kind of crawl my hands forward. Exhaling, and that's about as far as I feel like I want to go right now. Let's take a couple deep breaths there. Really try to remember to flex those toes up towards your nose. Couple more deep breaths. Inhale to your fullest. Expand, expand. Expand those back ribs, back waist, side ribs, and then exhale. Pelvic floor up and in, belly button up and in. Inhale, release the pelvic floor. Expand the back ribs. Exhale, pull the pelvic floor gently up and in, belly button in. Walk your hands back. Alright. You can pull your legs back in. You can even help your legs back in with your hands. I like to pull up on the insides of my knees there. And now we're going to take a position on hands and knees. So I'm going to get rid of my pillow. And I'm going to face this way so you can see me from the side. My hands are placed on the floor, and just to give my wrists a little bit of a break, I really grip with my fingertips, like my fingertips have claws and the fingernails turn white.
If your wrists get sore in this position, or if your knees feel like they need a pad, my knees get very sensitive during pregnancy, so a lot of times I'll take a little folded up blanket, put it underneath my knees. And if your wrists are real sensitive, you can do the same thing underneath the palms of your hands, just to give a little bit of a lift so it's not as intense of an angle. So I'm going to try to get my knees directly underneath my hips, not forward or back, not out too far, and try to get my palms right underneath my shoulders. A lot of times my body, especially during pregnancy, gets very hyperextendy, and I want to like point my elbow pits forward and lock them out, so I have to be aware of that tendency to do that. So that's something to think about. Keep those elbow pits facing each other, so the elbows are slightly bent, not locked out. And we're just going to go through cat-cow. Nice gentle movements with the breath. Same idea with expansion in the back body. I'm going to inhale, look up to the ceiling, let my shoulder blades sink. Try to keep my neck all loosey-goosey, and then exhale, tuck my tailbone, tuck my chin, pull the belly button up and in. Inhale, look up, sink the shoulder blades, sink the belly, and then exhale, fold, belly button up and in. Nice fluid movement, still thinking about expanding to your fullest in the back waist and the back body. I even like to wiggle a little bit there, just kind of feel the sides, those erectors going up and down your spine, kind of stretching out, and the back stretching out. I think cat-cow is one of my favorite moves to do during pregnancy, because this section of our body just gets so stiff. Alright, now we're going to do one called look at your butt. So you're going to come to a fairly neutral position and just take your butt towards your face and your face towards your butt. Just try to look past your shoulder and see a side of your butt. Maybe it's look for your butt, maybe it's not look at your butt. Maybe you can't see it, maybe you can. The whole idea is to just go through those motions and feel the stretch on the side body. As I look at my right hip, I feel a stretch on my left side. As I look at my left hip, I feel a stretch on my right side. Inhaling to look forward, and exhaling to look off to the side, just as we've been doing. Inhale to fill up that wet towel. Exhale to wring it out. Inhale, I expand to my fullest. As I exhale, I release. Inhale, expand to your fullest. Exhale, release. Alright, now we're going to do thread the needle is what I call this one. So you're going to turn one hand in, fingertips facing to the side. The other hand is going to come through. I'm going to go so far as to lay my shoulder and my head down on the floor. If that's not accessible to you, just go this far. So what I'm going to try to do is reach through that hole, that eye of the needle, and place my head down and use my hand on the floor to push my body up and twist a little bit. I'm going to take a couple deep breaths here. Inhale to come back out of it, and exhale to twist into it the other side. Palm facing up on that arm, sliding through, and using the top arm to push your body back. One more deep breath. Gentle twisting. Inhale to come up out of it, just so far as your body feels like it wants to. Couple more cat-cows just to feel symmetrical and comfortable, and I'm going to move back and forth with these a little bit. As I lean back and I take a little pressure off my wrists, it feels like a really good stretch in my hands. It's like I'm working back toward child's pose one little bit at a time. And now I'm going to make it back toward child's pose. So I'm going to take my knees a little bit wider, toes touching, and sit back toward my heels. If that doesn't feel accessible to you, because the belly's in the way, you can come up a little bit higher. Or if your knees don't like to flex this much, or your feet don't like to point this much, we can use a pillow underneath the butt, so you don't have to go so far back if the knees are more comfortable that way. Or you can take that pillow and put it underneath your feet so they don't have to extend quite so far. This is not the best position for that. Let me use this instead so you can kind of see the ankles. If the ankles can get a little bit of a lift, that folded up towel might be a better choice for that. So if the ankles don't like to extend and the toes don't like to point back behind you, a little lift at the ankles will make it less of an angle, less of a flatness for those toes and feet. So whatever feels comfortable to you, that's where I want you to be. So toes together, knees wide enough that you can get belly in between. And I'm going to use this pillow to bend forward because all the way forward doesn't quite feel cozy for me anymore. Little space for my belly, pillow for my head. I'm just going to wiggle my belly in between my legs and take a couple deep breaths here. Inhale, expand to your fullest. Exhale, release. Inhale into the back ribs, the back waist, really expand deeply. Exhale. Even pull your belly button up and in from this position, your pelvic floor up and in from this position. Just kind of explore with what that feels like. And when you're ready, you can work your way back up. And then we're going to lay on our left side and position pillows so that we're comfortable. So make sure you have enough pillows and or blankets to feel like you can be comfortable here. I'm just going to use what I have on the floor here. Pillow up underneath my head. One pillow in between my knees and feet. And a little lift for my belly with this roll here. Kind of squish that up so I'm comfortable. And take some nice deep breaths here. This is going to be my position for Savasana. And we're going to do just a little guided meditation in this position. As I inhale, I can expand to my fullest. As I exhale, I can hug my baby with the muscles in my body. I can release fully. Inhale, expand to your fullest. Exhale, hug your baby. All right, now return to breathing just normally, just rest. And we're going to do a body scan.
starting at the top of the head. If you can feel or imagine any energy right at the top of your head, like right at the very top of your skull, just envision a little bit of light coming into the top of your head. This knowingness, this presence, something bigger out there. And it's a part of us. It's going to come in through the top of our head and energize us with this really healing white light right in through the top of your head. Try to relax that space at the top of your head and allow that white light just to come in and fill up your whole body. Check in with the top of your head and see if it's relaxed. Relax your forehead. Relax your eyebrows. Relax the muscles in your face. The muscles around your ears and your jaw. Just check in with all those spaces. Relax your shoulders and your arms. If you're holding the pillow with any kind of tension, try to get into a position that feels a little less like tension, just more relaxed. If you feel like you have to yawn, yawn. If you feel like you have to move and stretch anything, just kind of gently wiggle. Feel free to just make yourself comfortable. If you feel any tension in your shoulders or in between your shoulder blades, let it go. Check in with the muscles in your back. Do they feel any looser than they did at the beginning of this session? Can you release any more tension out of them? Check in with the muscles in your hips. Are you trying to hold your hips upright while you're here? Is there tension in them? Or are you just really loosey-goosey? Can you let any more tension out of the hips, the low belly? Those hips do a lot of stabilizing for us, and the hip flexors get really stretched out and have a lot of pressure to hold up. Let's just give them a break. Just let them rest for a little while. Can you release any tension out of the outsides of the legs, the fronts of the legs, the backs of the legs, the fronts of the shins, and the calves? Just check in with them. Make sure they're still relaxed. Relax the muscles in your feet. You can just kind of wiggle your toes and let them fall. Just relax. So we scan the full body and try to make sure everything is super relaxed. Can you imagine that white light filling up any more fully, expanding to its fullest, filling up the whole body with this healing white light, beautiful energy, just helping you work toward moving that baby down, settling into the space they belong, and inviting your body to relax and expand to its absolute fullest capacity. With every inhale, and with every exhale, knowing that it can just bounce right back. Our bodies are expansive and contractile, and they can do both. I like to remind myself that we were made to do this.
And whenever you're ready, you can come back up to a seated position. Go really slowly, let your eyes kind of flutter back open and get used to the light again. Take a couple deep breaths. Try not to lift a leg or use too much energy to come back up. Use your arms. Try to remain in that place of relaxed state for these muscles as much as possible. I just want you to do a couple deep breaths in this seated position, just to feel if there is a difference for you. After doing the breath work, after doing the movements, is there something different going on? With your body? I hope so. I hope it feels like you have more freedom to fill up, to expand to your absolute fullest, and that you feel a little more relaxed. Thanks for watching. The light in me sees that light in you that we just invited in. Namaste.